Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Raiders Daily. My name is Jackson. I'll post daily Raiders content, so hit that like button, hit that sub button if you guys enjoy it. So we have good news. Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, they're eligible to come off of the IR, and they are reportedly were at practice today. So that's great news. Unfortunately, both of those two cats were not having great seasons with the Raiders so far, but I'm still trying to be hopeful. The Raiders currently have a 4% chance to make the playoffs, so I know this is crazy. Apparently, according to an ESPN analysis or reporter, the vibes in the locker room were just completely devastating. But at the same time, I heard the same thing after Indianapolis. I heard the same thing after Jacksonville and New Orleans. Every single brutal loss that we've had so far this season. So until we're mathematically eliminated, I will remain hopeful. Now, you got New England this upcoming weekend. I got to say, I know Darren has had drop issues in the 5 games that he played for the Raiders this season. I know Hunter Renfrow is having just a brutal season. He's had 3 fumbles as well. But I would be glad to have those two cats back, because one of the things I was really harping on in my last video was, I get that, the 4% chance. I get it. I get that realistically, 99 out of 100 times, if we did this season, if we finish off this season, the last 4 games, the Raiders don't make the playoffs, right? I get it. Or I guess 96 times. But regardless of the final record, regardless of if they make the playoffs or not, I want to keep the same vibes as how they had in the last 3 victories when they're on that 3-game win streak, kind of similarly to last season. Now, thankfully, the Raiders, they were sitting at 6-7. They won the last 4, and they ended up making the playoffs. But keep in mind, the vibes were high heading into the offseason. The vibes were very high. So I want to get back to that, because it just, nobody's happy with Josh McDaniels. People aren't happy with Derek Carr. People aren't happy with the owner right now. It is not looking great. But regardless, Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow, when they're healthy, they will have a big impact on this team. And the Raiders, at the end of the day, they still have the 11th best offense, which is kind of shocking because, the eye test might say a little differently. Putting up 16 points against the Lambs is absolutely dreadful. They still have a good defense. I know they were missing Aaron Donald. I know they were missing some big names. And at the end of the day, Baker Mayfield is a good starting caliber quarterback. But it was absolutely heart-wrenching. It was absolutely devastating. When we take a look at Hunter so far on the season, he has 21 receptions, 192 yards. Like I said, he does have those 3 fumbles. That's good for just 32 yards per game, but we know Hunter. We know Hunter, when he's healthy, can give us, 100 receptions. Last season, he had 103 receptions for 1,038 yards and 9 touchdowns. So either way, I want to see Hunter Renfrow back in a Raider uniform for this upcoming season. Now, Darren Waller's where the question marks come, because both of those two cats just got extended. A healthy Darren Waller is one of the best tight ends in the entire National Football League, but that's the whole thing. It's a big if. He only played 11 games last season. Thankfully, the 2 years before, the first year of the Las Vegas Raiders, he had 107 receptions for 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. It was definitely his best season in the NFL. The year before that, the last year at Oakland, 90 receptions, almost 1,200 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Now, his first 3 seasons, he dealt with injuries. He's getting up there in age, though. He's 30 years old. I still personally want to see him back in a Raider uniform, and my best guess is he will be, because I guess the Green Bay Packers sent a trade for Darren Waller, and the Raiders just simply weren't interested. So maybe, there's probably a price for everybody, but I say, you just put in a lot of money with all these extensions. You traded for Devontae Adams, gave up some draft capital, put a lot of money into the defense with guys like Chandler Jones, the extension of Max Crosby. So personally, I think the offense is all set. We just kind of want to get a more, offensive line has been looking a lot better the last couple of weeks, not necessarily against the Rams, but personally, I want to put a lot of money, a lot of draft resources into the defense. I'm kind of all set on offense outside of the offensive line. I do want to get that situation finalized heading into next year. I do not like the rotations. I want to have just the same offensive line for every single game. So let me know what you guys are thinking about Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow coming back and possibly next season as well. Drop your opinion down below. But as always, hit that like button, hit that sub button.